Welcome to Feed the Blender.
Boys, it's good to see you again. Long time no see.
Yeah.
Day 5 of Sober October.
Yeah. How are we feeling?
How are you guys feeling on this journey?
As I said to Kyle earlier in the week or after 2 days, I haven't tried to kill myself yet, so we're looking good. So.
And KZ, how you feeling?
Like a new man, to be honest with you. Really.
You look good.
Yeah.
You look
Other
healthy.
than the morning shakes, the headaches, just the usual withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah.
I'm great.
I've been getting a ton of welches on my skin, but other than that, just great. Life is great.
We're
Right.
having fun.
Yeah. Day 5 and it seems like day 80. But last week we broke down the Northwest, so it's only right that this week we break down the Pacific. Starting with the NBA champions, the Golden State Warriors. Finished 53-29 last year, which was good enough for third in the West. I mean, they tore through every single opponent in the West. And then I believe Boston was the only team that took them to 6.
Yes.
So they looked unstoppable. They looked every bit of what they looked, years before. I mean, it is a dynasty, full blown. And they look to be as good this year. So
Kevin Durant's wondering why the fuck he left. That's for sure.
that's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. Either you guys want to talk about this Golden State team? I mean, there's just not a ton, but
I mean, the only thing that I think they really lost from last year was Gary Payton II.
yeah.
Other than that, it's basically they're just running it back all over again.
Yeah.
I do think that this year they'll have a harder time like getting to the promised land just with like how stacked up the West is. Or at least like how stacked the top 6 is. But I don't see why they wouldn't be I don't see why they wouldn't be the front runner for right now to come out of the West. So I personally still think probably Milwaukee has the highest chances to win.
I believe they are favored by Vegas to win it all. So
I would have loved to see like what that series looked like.
Milwaukee versus Golden State.
Yeah.
Would have been awesome.
Just because I think like Milwaukee really would have pushed them like beyond their comfort levels.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and the matchup of Drew Holiday on Steph would have been awesome to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned they did lose Gary Payton, who was a huge contributor last year, but they brought in Dante DiVincenzo, and obviously not 1-for-1 kind of a swap, but Dante DiVincenzo is going to come in and play a huge role, and he's going to be the worst nightmare for opposing teams because he's so unselfish. He can hit at a high clip. I mean, he's like the stereotypical Golden State Warrior.
Yep.
They extend Wiggins. They draft Pat Baldwin Jr. They got Wiseman coming back. He looks pretty damn good in the first preseason game. I don't know if you guys got to watch that, but he looked really comfortable, and he looks like he's every bit of the part of a number 1 overall pick. So,
yeah, it'll be cool to see like what he does, especially if he can stay healthy. I think that'll be the biggest thing. So,
yeah, and this team's gonna be deep. Obviously, Poole off the bench is already nuts. And then to think about, like I said, you add Wiseman, you add DiVincenzo, you got your Michael Green, you got Jonathan Kuminga, you got Moses Moody. I mean, this is like a 11 or 12 deep roster. So they're going to be well rested heading into the postseason. I kind of think they'll probably let their foot off the gas just because that core 4 is starting to age a bit.
Yes.
I don't regular
I think
season.
it'll be the
doesn't
last
matter.
year that they can really like be competitive.
You think this is the last year?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's until they have to pay pool.
I don't know. I wouldn't put it past them to be competitive for the next 5 years.
I mean, they're gonna have to break up that core 4 or 3 or whatever at some point if they choose to sign one of the young guys that they have drafted.
We'll see. I don't know. The Spurs were able to keep that dynasty together until some of those guys were well into their high 30s and into their 40s. So I don't know. There is
Yeah, but that was a
and
time in
they
the
have
NBA where the guys weren't making the same amount of money.
I know, but also the luxury cap's going up. Golden State's owners have paid their players. They're willing to pay their players. I don't know. I think if it was any other team, I would agree with you, but it's Golden State.
We'll see. We'll see. They always somehow make it work. At least they have for the last 10 years. So
Yeah, wouldn't put it past them. This might be the most cut and dry starting lineup that we cover. I mean, plain and simple, it's going to be the exact same 5 guys that they had last year.
yes, it's the same starting 6, or
Yeah.
not starting, but you know what I mean. Like it's the same 6 guys in the rotation. The missing guy right now is Gary Payton II.
Yeah, and he was like
Probably the
7th,
7th
right?
option.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. This will be a full regular season of Clay because it wasn't last year.
Yep.
This should be the first full season since COVID.
Yeah. So it'll be fun. I mean, this team's going to be really fun to watch, as they always are. Curry's going to be lightning on the court. So I don't.
Absolutely sensational,
Absolutely.
as always.
Yeah. Other than I just wanted to touch on Pat Baldwin, local guy, Wisconsin guy, went to UWM, didn't do much there, but still was able to swindle his way into a first round pick and whatever. Other than that, I don't have much on this team, as there's really not much to talk about. I mean, it's the defending champs, so they're right there in that. They're literally the best team going into this season, and if not, they're 1 or 2. Like it's 1A, 1. You know.
Yeah. Yep. I feel like if they don't, I don't know. You can't compare like this season to last season, but I think anything but getting to where they were is considered a bust if they don't get that far. So
if there even is a bust consideration for this team, I don't. Whatever they do this season is whatever they do. I don't think their fans are going to be mad if they get to the Western Conference Finals and lose.
No, absolutely not.
So
They just, I don't know. As they were so good for so long, and then Steph and Clay both got hurt, and then Draymond was like beat up, and they got bad for like just that like season and a half, and they were able to do nothing but capitalize since that point. So shout out their front office and how they orchestrated that. So
brilliance. That's the only word I can describe their front office with, is brilliance. They've done everything right. I think we can.
Just get right into it.
I think we can move on to the Los Angeles Clippers.
Yeah, definitely going to be the better of the 2 LA teams next year. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think they have a very interesting ceiling for how they'll finish next year. I do think, given that it's the Clippers and it's Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and now John Wall, so it's a tall order for them to all stay healthy. But if they were to somehow rope together a healthy season and these guys all hit their stride come postseason, that's another team that I don't want to play at all.
God,
especially early. So I think obviously their biggest piece that they brought in was John Wall. I think his entire season next year is going to be a big question mark, just to see if he can return to, even like if he's 2/3 the player that he once was while he was in Washington.
And you're a big fan of that move, bringing in John Wall, right?
I said the Lakers should have done it instead of Russ.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting.
I mean, this
He's
is
just so good, and it's just like
he's so good.
he's not. I don't know. I feel like a lot of like
He's misunderstood.
Russ's issue is like he's just so what's the word that I'm looking for? Like he's so like high strung, and he's a very prideful player.
Yes,
Whereas,
he's
like,
too,
I
he's
just
too
don't-
egotistical.
Yeah, whereas like I just don't necessarily see that same mentality out of John Wall.
Yeah,
The games are similar, yes, but I don't know. John Wall, he doesn't stay after it. Like if he's not hitting, he then looks to distribute and get other guys going, because he'll eventually get back on track. But I don't know, with Brody, it just feels like more often than not he's just gonna huck until he doesn't want to anymore. So
yeah. And
I don't know. I think that was a really big pickup for them. I do think that he'll come in and he'll run their second unit unless he's lights out. Like if he comes in and takes off like pre his injuries and stuff like that, like then I could see him surpassing Reggie Jackson. But I mean, Reggie Jackson's going to be their starting point guard.
He's going to be their starting. Yeah. John Wall will be their sixth man.
Yes, which is scary.
Yeah,
but that's nuts.
And that's the thing. This is probably the deepest team in the entire NBA. Without Kawhi and PG, for obviously Kawhi didn't play at all last year. PG, I think, played 31 games. Yep. Without both of those guys for the majority of the season, they still were 2 games over 500 and made the play-in. Granted, they lost both play-in games, but they were depending on Reggie Jackson to put up 30 and basically do it all himself. And boy, did he almost do it. I mean, he kept them really close in those games. So this team is scary, but when you look at it, they're in their 4th year of this core.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure on this team to win. They've only gotten to 1 Western Conference Finals in these 4 years. And injuries happen. It's the NBA. But that doesn't take away from the fact that they need to win. They're starting to run out of time here.
Well, I'm pretty sure, I don't know when it is, but I'm pretty sure Kawhi has the option to not opt in next year.
I believe it's this year. At the end of this year, I believe he can opt out and become a free agent, whether that's unrestricted or not.
Yeah, I don't know. They'll be interesting. Yeah, this is last year. So 2025 unrestricted free agent in 2025.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they stay healthy, again, this is just a really good West team. Nothing more to say. We know how good this Clippers team is. We've seen them, but we have not seen them in the postseason stay healthy. And I really want to see it.
Yeah. I don't know. It'd be cool. I think it would be pretty freaking incredible if they were to have a really good year and Paul George and Kawhi stay healthy and they put together a serious championship run.
Yeah.
Then I almost, Kawhi hasn't necessarily been the most durable and the most reliable player, but then that's 3 rings with 3 different franchises.
Yeah.
That's
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if those guys stay healthy, they're competing with Golden State. I mean, they're just as good. They're really maybe the most talented team and probably their biggest threat, Golden State, that is. So
I would say they are probably Golden State's biggest threat right now.
In terms of matchups, it's
on paper
because they can go 5 out just as good as Golden State can.
Yeah.
And they shoot the ball lights out. The Clippers have, for the last 4 years, have been one of the top 3 shooting 3-point shooting teams in the NBA. So they shoot just as well as Golden State does and can keep up with them on the offensive end.
And to circle back just really quick, so the Clippers have this year and next year to win or bust, basically, because both PG and Kawhi have player options for 2024-2025 season.
Gotcha.
So it's now or never.
Yeah. And both of these guys, I mean, who knows if pressure like that affects him? I mean, these guys are both first ballot Hall of Famers, so who knows if that kind of stuff matters to them. But I'm assuming Kawhi is pretty content with his NBA career, and I'd assume Paul George probably wants a ring on his shelf, but both of those guys can retire right now, and they're both going to be first ballot Hall of Famers.
I could see Kawhi for sure. I think PG
no
still has
doubt.
a question. I don't know, dude. I think he still has a question mark next to him. Hey, I'm a big I'm a big PG advocate, but I still think like there's a question mark next to his name for the Hall of Fame.
No doubt he's first ballot. He's been a top 5 player multiple times in his career. If Bradley Beal's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, Paul George is going to be.
It's fair. I digress.
I look at Paul George's career really similarly to Carmelo Anthony's. Obviously, Carmelo Anthony's a better
Carmelo's going to have like the points per game to get him in the top.
But PG's going to have all defensive teams that Carmelo doesn't. You got to remember, PG is also like an elite defender and has been his entire career.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Boise gotten the shit end of the stick on that though, because he's a great defender, but he's been yammed on, he's been crossed up. Dame hit that shot over him in the postseason. Like, it's really unfortunate because like good defensive players do get unfortunately put on an island sometimes, and he's definitely been there a few times. So
yeah, I can't do anything about amazing offense. It is what it is.
Good offense always beats good defense. So
that's what they say. KZ, any notes on the Clips?
No, mostly in agreement with what you guys have said so far.
Do you think that they could take Golden State?
No.
Even with those two healthy?
Yeah, even with those two healthy.
Wow.
I'm going back to good offense always beats good defense, just like Zert said. So
it's true.
And Golden State are those guys.
And they've won it multiple times.
But the problem with that is you're asking then Draymond to guard probably Kawhi. Or you're asking either Draymond to guard Kawhi or PG, and Andrew Wiggins getting like the latter. So then that just opens up space for
those are
Reggie.
Great.
Klay Thompson is a good defender, though.
Yeah, those are two really good defenders.
Hold on. Klay Thompson was a really good defender before his ACL and his Achilles. We'll be curious to see now that he has a half a year under his belt if he comes back to that same like defensive person that he was. But
yeah, I mean, if we're going matchup wise, I would just put Steph Curry on Nicholas Batum because he's not doing anything on offense.
I just back him down. Eat the blender, baby.
The Frenchman.
Eat the blender.
Eat the blender. I don't have much on them. Like I said, they have some pressure for what seems to be the first time in their tenure in LA. But I digress. All I wanted, as far as young talent goes, all I wanted to talk about was really Brandon Boston. Second year out of Kentucky, 6'7" wing, real lanky guy, and a two-way player. He didn't really shoot well from three. I think he was like 30%, but he was right around 80% from free throws. So that's actually like as far as shooting goes, that's a telltale that percentage will go up. He's carved out a great role for himself in the rotation and will continue to get minutes under Ty Lue because Ty Lue is one of those coaches where he rewards his players for performing when given the opportunity. So I look for him to have a breakout year. The other guy I want to talk about was Terrence Mann, 6'5". Yeah, unbelievably good. 6'5" shooting guard, small forward, hybrid out of Florida State. He had that massive breakout game in the Western Conference, I believe semifinals. It was like 39 points against Utah in the closeout game in Game 6. He's probably going to play over 30 minutes a game this year. He was just under it last year. That dude can ball, and he's really young.
Are you saying that he's going to start at the 2?
No, I think he'll be off the bench. They'll probably just swap him in for Batum whenever they need. they're gonna do platoon swaps. I mean, like I said, this is like a 12 or 13 deep team.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
Yeah, I think they'll definitely be like heavy on rotations, just given how like fragile Kawhi and you tend to be. So it's not.
and that's the thing. If you're a wing on this team, you're gonna get minutes because both Kawhi and Paul George are gonna miss time. So it's like this is kind of like the perfect scenario for a young wing.
Yeah, I agree.
But other than that, I mean that's the Clippers. They're contenders on paper.
On paper, yep.
They should win a ton of regular season games. I have them right around like 45. Just because this West is so good, you know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I could see them being like the 6, just because like they're gonna. Zach Lowe said it this week. There's no reason for Kawhi Leonard or PG to ever play a back-to-back again in their career, with like where they're at and like with this team. So like you're gonna obviously win. You're gonna lose games that you should probably win, just off of bad shooting nights and those guys not being on the floor. So I think they'll be better than a play-in team, but they're gonna like be that guard spot at number 6. So they'll threshold.
yeah, and I'll just go out there and say it. Back-to-back shouldn't exist. Let's shorten the season. Why are we doing back-to-backs? It's just stupid. Guys get hurt way more easily. Like it's something the NBA can get rid of. I hope Adam Silver really like on this next off season they take it in and they talk about it, because it's just dumb. It's stupid. All the guys advocate for it to be getting rid of. So like,
leave the 82 game season, just space them out. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, whatever you got to do. It's just with the injury prone sport like basketball, back-to-backs make no sense.
Whatever it takes
much
to
extra
win last
trouble.
baseball season, I don't really give a shit. So
Yeah. So
Lakers,
moving on. Yeah.
there's just not a lot to say. I
Yeah.
don't think.
I'll go through their off season. You guys just want to tell me what you got and what you think about them. We can just go with that. Like you said, there's not. Well, yeah, whatever.
There's not a lot of good things to say. That's for sure.
So last year, AD's obviously hurt for a majority of the season. Westbrook has no idea what his role is and no idea where the rim is. Apparently, it's all glass for him. They finished the season 33-49, which was good enough for 11th in the West. They lost back-to-back games to the Pelicans to get knocked out of that play-in chance. Immediately, Frank Vogel's fired in the offseason. They hired Darvin Ham, who is the Bud Line assistant coach for the Bucks in that finals run. Players coach. I mean, guys love him. Guys love playing for him. That's actually a great hire. But who knows? He's already, done his coaching due diligence in terms of trying to get Russell Westbrook on board for the role he wants him to play, and we'll see if that gets through Russell Westbrook's thick head. But that's to be seen in the regular season. They trade THT away, as well as Stanley Johnson in that Pat Bev deal. A couple of cool two-ways that they sign. Scottie Pippen Jr. out of Vanderbilt, obviously son of Scottie Pippen. And then Cole Swider, former Villanova Wildcat, also played for Syracuse under Boeheim. Good, like 6'9" power forward, can shoot the ball. I actually think he's going to get rotation minutes. I think they need outside shooting, and he's going to be a 40% guy. So he should get some minutes at that position. They bring in Juan Toscano Anderson from Golden State, Wenyen Gabriel, Thomas Bryant, and Dwayne Bacon. It's kind of that Dwayne Bacon one's kind of a throwback. We used to watch his hoop mixtape when we were all in college.
That's just geeked.
Yeah. So we'll see. The Juan Toscano Anderson signing's pretty interesting. I liked him on Golden State. He's a Marquette guy, so I got to watch him play in college. And Thomas Bryant's going to probably be their backup center. He's going to get a decent amount of minutes, probably 25 a game, I'd say. They signed Lonnie Walker to a 1 year, $6.5 million. They bring in Dennis Schroeder again for his second stint in LA. They bring him in on a 1 year, $2.64 million deal. And then they signed Damian Jones to a 2 year, $4.8 million. Getting a little bit more depth in that center position, just in case AD goes out for the 40 games that he will. But yeah, I mean, KZ, what do you think about this team?
I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what to even say about them. They're disappointing last year. We'll see if they'll be any better this year. I mean, you'd expect them to be, but I mean, what can you really do? Like,
do you
for
think
Westbrook's exciting? What's up?
Do you think Westbrook's going to be in the starting lineup?
I mean, yeah, yes. I think.
I feel like they're going to try him out for a couple games.
They'll try their hardest.
Yeah, when it inevitably goes south fast and he's breaking backboards with his bricks, I think he'll probably be off the bench.
What do you do with Westbrook?
You just
keep him.
Yeah, you got to trade.
How do you sell that?
You just add the 2 other picks with them, and that's the value.
Yeah.
So
it's dead cap space is what it is.
It's a bummer because we love Westbrook. I love watching him play. I loved him in OKC. I loved him in Washington last year or 2 years ago, but it's just sad, man. It's sad, the stubbornness to not take on a new role. It's similar to Carmelo before he kind of figured out his veteran role in the league. You just hope someone gets through to him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's all press, but I mean, from what I've heard, like all off season is he is like going into this season like with good spirits and like he's basically willing to like be that like guy to come off the bench.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I buy that necessarily. I think it'd be sweet. You know what I mean? Like I think that would be like an awesome thing for him to at least recognize and accept. Unless this is like a vengeance tour and he just comes in and goes bananas, but I just don't see a successful team with both Westbrook and LeBron on the court at the same time.
Yeah.
Because neither of them shoot the 3 very well. They play the same sort of like style of game. LeBron's just way more efficient offensively, like scoring.
To be fair, LeBron is an average 3-point shooter. He's like 36%. Like he's average to above average in the league.
Yeah.
It's you're more so saying it's a ball dominant thing. Like who's gonna have
Correct. Correct. They're not gonna having both of them on the floor doesn't allow for them to like they're not gonna if Westbrook goes into isolation, like he's not gonna drive and kick to LeBron and LeBron's gonna spray a catch and shoot 3.
No.
Like, that's just not gonna happen, and it's not gonna be vice versa.
Offense. It's horrible offense. It's so stagnant. Yeah,
I think Pat Bev will be the starter come opening night. Like I think it'll be Pat Bev, Nunn, LeBron, AD, Damian Jones.
Yeah. The story of the offseason for LA, above anything else, is the recent development in the friendship of Pat Bev and Russell Westbrook. Supposedly they're best friends now, man.
Whatever.
You got to cue the song. So happy together. So, yeah, they have no outside shooting. When you look at the entire roster, it's like
they're dogs. They're going to be a mediocre team at best.
But the thing is, it's like if they get to a playoff seed, if they just get in the playoffs, that's a scary fucking team to play. LeBron and AD, I don't care who else is on the team. If they're both healthy, that's scary. there's
Big if.
yeah,
It's a
exactly.
big if.
Exactly. But they've already won a finals. So it's like,
But it was the bubble.
oh my God. I already
Yeah.
went off on a rant about that.
I don't know. They're underwhelming. I think their offseason was disappointing and they'll be lackluster, like at best. And then I mean, I really have a problem with like LeBron's extension. I've like mentioned it
Yeah.
to you guys like offline in the past, but I just don't understand. Like, he only has so many years left. Like, why are we just dumping 100 or 99 million or whatever it was into like extending him for an additional 2 years? Why are we doing that if we're trying to get him more rings?
Why
Like,
is he
you're-
accepting it? Is a bigger
Correct. I
question.
just like I don't like I again like I don't make these, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars and stuff like that. So I don't understand. Like, if you're a real competitor of the game, you take that money that they're willing to offer you for those extra 2 years and you say, you know what, I'm good. Bring in guys to help me like get a couple more rings. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's been compared to Jordan his entire career, and on pace, like LeBron's only going to finish at 4 rings, which I mean, only 4 is still incredible, but
Yeah, it's the word only should not be in front of 4.
when you're compared to Jordan your entire career, and Jordan has 6 and he's 6-0 in the finals, like at some like there's got to be give and take in there somewhere. Like, LeBron's made the finals way more than Jordan did,
Well,
but wasn't able to get it done. Yes, it's different eras, I understand, but
I'll just say this. Cleveland and Miami, second stint in Cleveland specifically, not the first. Both Cleveland and Miami, he did take pay cuts on both of those teams. Just throwing that
and
out.
what happened? And they won rings. So like, why are you? And
But
that's
I'm
when
saying-
he was in his prime.
But the
Why
the
are
point
you at the
is,
back end of your career taking more money to not win any more rings?
I think he's content with his career. He's going to go down as 1A or 1 in some people's minds, and he's going to pass Kareem.
Oh yeah, he'll do it this year.
So he's already, in my eyes, the best to ever do it. And then, you know, like I said, he's already taken pay cuts. He's won finals. He's won finals MVPs. He's still obviously, as you're saying, he's still obviously good enough to win the finals. I mean, he averaged 30 points a game last year.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I get where the confusion is on signing that massive deal, but it's like, I don't know. I just have a hard time getting mad about it. Just considering he has already taken pay cuts in his career. It's like, how many more do you want to ask from him?
Well, it's not how much we asked of him; it's how much he
Does he want
wants
to
in the
win?
ring.
Like,
Yeah.
look at Tom Brady. Like,
Are they
Tom
in a
Brady's
position to win this year, though?
who?
I mean,
Why
if
not
they
just
had
get
more
paid this
money.
year?
Hmm?
Why not get paid this year if they're not contending, they're not competing
But
at
it's not
that
the
level,
point
so
of
why
getting
not just
paid
get
this
yours?
year. It's the next 2 years that I have the issue with.
Yeah, but they'll have more draft capital in those next 2 years. They'll be able to make trades. They're still going to be able to make trades even with his contract. There's
I
still
understand.
possibility of them making a Buddy Hield and Miles Turner push.
Well, right, and I understand that, but that'll be then great for this year until like you have to. It's having the trade assets is awesome until you actually have to pay players to stay.
I think that's pretty much it on the Lakers. Got a little heated there for a sec, but we'll move
Usually
on.
does.
I believe the next team in our division is Sacramento. Yeah, they look to build on their kind of version of an all-in trade with Domantas Sabonis. They obviously send over Buddy Hield and whoever to Indiana in that trade, and
Tyrese Halliburton, whatever.
Sorry, I honestly, it wasn't coming to my mind. So,
Wisconsin, born and raised.
Yeah, Wisconsin. Sorry about that. My bad, Tyrese. I didn't have the trade in front of me, so they finished 30 and 52, and that's good enough for 12th in the West. Move on from Walton, who got fired like 5 games into the season last year, and their interim Elvin Gentry, if you guys remember, was the previous Pelicans coach. They look to go in a new direction. They hire Mike Brown, who's been in the league for, forever. Coach, LeBron led Cleveland teams, and most recently was on the coaching staff for Steve Kerr in this finals run. A defensive-minded coach, which is good for the Sacramento team because they have little to none defense aside from 1 6'2" guard named Davion Mitchell. Other than that, literally nothing. They did get a lottery pick this year, and it's looking to be like a really good one. Keegan Murray out of Iowa. Kid can play, shoot the ball really well. It'll be interesting to see how he pairs with Domantas Sabonis, because he is a bit undersized at 6'8" for the power forward position. And with Domantas Sabonis like center in your rotation as your starting center, you don't have a ton of defense. So to have an undersized power forward, it's just, this team's probably not going to be great interior wise. But he looks really good. He looked really good in the summer league games, and he looked really good in this first preseason game. They signed Malik Monk to a 2-year, $19.4 million, which you could really get on the Lakers for that one, for not re-signing that dude, because he balled out last year.
He was their only spark offensively last year.
Yeah, Malik Monk's good, and it's a nice reuniting because both him and De'Aaron Fox played together in Kentucky, so that chemistry is already there.
Fun team on the break, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be fast. It's gonna be an offensive-based team with a defensive-based coach. It's kind of an interesting pairing. So they also signed Quentin Cook and Kent Bazemore. They kind of just went through the Lakers roster and said, "I'll take that, and that." They trade Justin Holiday and Maurice Harkless over to Atlanta in exchange for Kevin Huerter, adding even more 3-point shooting and even less defense. The starting lineup to me, De'Aaron Fox at the point guard, Malik Monk at the shooting guard, Harrison Barnes at the 3, Keegan Murray at the 4, and then Sabonis at the 5. I mean, again, this is just a really solid offensive team, but a really, really bad defensive team. What are your guys' thoughts on this Kings team? I mean, they're pretty run of the mill.
Yeah, I don't have high hopes for them. I think they'll maybe fight for trying to be in the play-in tournament.
Yeah,
maybe. But again, I forgot who we made the comparison to on the last episode, but they're going to be like their whole game plan is going to be, we need to outscore. No, not Minnesota.
Portland.
It was Portland. Yeah, we need to outscore. Yeah, we need to outscore our opponent because there ain't no way that we're stopping them defensively.
Yeah. Yeah, and Sacramento has been in a playoff drought since those Chris Webber years, I believe, with Mike Bibby and all of them. It's been since the 2005 and 2006 year. So it's been quite some time. Well, if they make the play-in, it's going to be even more mayhem than Minnesota was last year. It's going to be, Sacramento might burn down if they make the play-in. That city might be in ashes if they make the play-in. That is
something.
Yeah, that's a passionate fan base that has not seen wins. What do you think of the pairing?
Do something for the States.
Say that again.
What?
What do you think of the pairing of Sabonis and Fox?
I don't know. Sabonis is really good. I'll give him that. He's an old school big man, which I think is kind of sweet.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I liked what Indiana had going better with Sabonis there with Miles Turner and like their younger-ish core that they had. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like a weird trade in the middle of the year
Yeah.
because like I don't know, like it Indiana got like a really good young player in Halliburton and Buddy Hield, who's no scrub by any means.
He's
But-
historically one of the best 3-point shooters the league has ever seen.
I don't know. I just thought it was like a really weird trade on like both parties at like a weird time in the year. I just felt like it was like rushed and they just wanted to get it done before the trade like deadline, and then that's what happened. So I don't know. I don't have a lot to say on Sacramento, unfortunately.
KZ.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Zach. I don't do enough watching of Sacramento, or
You're not watching Sacramento games in your free time, Kyle?
I cannot say I am. Unfortunately.
Derek, you want to talk about
Great
Davion Mitchell?
I can. Walmart brand, D Mitchell. I'm sorry. He had an incredible tournament run when they won at Baylor.
Yeah.
So he was playing out of his mind. He's a lockdown defender. He plays the 2, right? Or is he a point guard?
Well, he's a point guard, but the thing is, it's like
Oh,
Drew Holiday, where he can guard 1 through 4, 1 through 5, basically. Like he's so solid.
Yeah, I mean, he's a defensive anchor. I'll be curious to see like what he does from like an offensive like output. 11 and a half a game last year, 4 assists. Not bad for a guy which I would assume was in the second unit.
Yeah.
We just hope that he, takes another step here this year, and I don't know. Sacramento needs to figure out like what they want to do with like the team that they currently have, because that's a player that a lot of teams I think would be interested in if he makes that leap from 11 to 16 or something like that for points per game. So
Yeah, if he gets his 3-point percentage up too, I mean, all of a sudden you're looking at a really dangerous guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, then we touched on Keegan Murray, coming off of a really, really solid sophomore year at Iowa. Solid enough where in his freshman year really didn't play much behind Luka Garza, and was able just to do a ton when he got his chance in his sophomore year, and showed like scouts and NBA insiders how good he actually is at that 4 position. He was a 40% 3-point shooter on a high volume. He averaged 23.5 points a game, 2 blocks, 8.5 rebounds or so, and shot about 62% from the field. So
yeah, it'll be curious to see how he does at the next level, just considering like he, as you mentioned, like he just didn't get a ton of PT like in his first season at Iowa, and then obviously took a huge leap in his sophomore season. So I'll be curious to see how that correlates to him probably being a day 1 starter on this team. So
he's going to come in and start right away. So
it's a very large jump for him to make, is more it than anything. So
all right. And I think we can move on to our last and most problemed team. The Phoenix Suns. I think, the first thing I wrote for them is Jesus Christ. I mean, what happened?
what happened? Yeah. I don't know.
We'll just go through it. After finishing number 1 in the West in the regular season last year at 64-18, they look to be unbeatable. They look to be amazing. They were the best mid-range team the NBA has seen in a really long time. Defensively, they look great. Devin Booker and Chris Paul as a duo were outstanding, efficient, got guys open. I mean, this was like the trend was so high up just for Luka to come in Game 7 and do what he did to this team. KZ, I know you're a big Luka fan. You wanna talk about that game 7?
Yes, sir. He's a bad man. That's all I can say. Oh my God. Come in and ball out like that against these bozos. Are you fucking kidding me? Made him his bitch. That's all I gotta say. I mean, it's either saying something for what a talent Luka is, or it's saying something for the absolute collapse that the Phoenix Suns have going on. So
Couldn't have said it better myself. Luka outscored Phoenix entirely in the first half. Like in a game 7 on the road at
Can't have
Phoenix.
that.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we were all watching that game and texting each other like,
Yeah.
what's going on right now?
Yeah. A complete and utter collapse and disappointment from one of the best like regular season that like we've probably seen in a while.
Yeah, probably since the 73-9 Warriors, straight up.
So I would like to point out that during a fall day last year while draxing, I made the comment to you and Ian that Phoenix wasn't going to, I wasn't sold that Phoenix was going to be able to get it done.
I believe I remember that, yeah.
Yep. And I thought that them making the finals against the Bucks was kind of like a fluke season. I don't want to say I was completely right because obviously they had the wins in the regular season to back it up. But
They still made it to the second round.
it's still shit the bed.
Still a game away. I'll give you that you were right, but
I don't know. I don't think that Devin Booker is like that guy. Like, I don't know what is going on the screen right now, but I don't want to know. I don't know. It goes back to like that clip from a few summers ago of him getting all sorts of bent out of shape when he was double teamed in pickup. I mean, little things like that says a lot, or it says a lot about what like the true like mentality behind a player is, and in my opinion. So
you only love that clip because it was Joakim Noah that was setting
Absolutely.
games.
absolutely.
You balls fuck.
Nah, dude. I don't know. Like, I'm sorry, but like on that team, Chris Paul is up there in age. Devin Booker needs to be the one who puts the weight of the game on his shoulders. It's game 7. This is your team.
Yeah.
This is your future franchise.
He was a
Like-
no-show. He was a complete no-show.
No.
But with that being said, he showed up to other really big games in his career. So I don't know if it's fair to not consider him that guy. Maybe he's not the number 1 option on a finals-led team, but he's certainly number 2 or 1A. Like, he is that good.
Yeah,
I
right.
think
But
he finished-
my point is that he's never going to be a guy that like leads a team to the playoffs as is, with no like a significantly above average player on his team.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. We should cover Ayton's entire just clusterfuck
Debacle?
of basically was scapegoated by Monty Williams after game 7. And from what I know, Serge, you've heard of this. I also just found out that according to Ayton on media day, they haven't talked since game 7.
Yeah.
Him and Monty Williams have not discussed one thing, have not said one word to each other, not exchanged one text to each other.
Right. I'm sorry, but this is realistically, if you're looking at like a long big term picture, this is your number 2 option behind Devin Booker.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna pin everything on like all like the lack thereof success. You're gonna pin on a guy who's what, in his 3rd year, 2nd year,
3rd year.
when it clearly like wasn't his team.
No.
So
And
like, why
he
are
also
you
wasn't guarding Luka.
No, nobody guards Luka. You just stand in front of him.
Right,
You know what I
but
mean? Like,
how is he getting scapegoated? Because he's not tough enough on defense. He's not good enough on the switch. Like, What are you talking about? You're not putting him in a position to succeed.
Right. No, I agree. It's just I think it was all weird. I think Monty Williams has tarnished that relationship.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's a great coach and he's a great players coach, but like something went very, very sour with their relationship. And that's not something just matching the Pacers offer is going to fix.
Yeah.
So they were serious about.
Yeah. We don't know the details of what was said, between those two guys, but from what I know, Aiden's a pretty quiet guy, so I'm going to assume Monty Williams was the instigator of their little quarrel. It's weird. It's really weird.
I don't get it.
He was their number 1 overall pick. You don't treat a number 1 overall pick like that.
No, and he was their second option until they brought in Chris Paul.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but Booker and Ayton are like the two like foundations behind your organization, and you bring in players to feed off of those two.
Yeah.
And ever since Chris Paul came in, like Ayton's really been pushed to the side, and now
he was asked to take a lesser role,
which is fine.
Which is fine,
totally
but
fine.
treat him well.
Correct. Treat him like a first overall pick who gave you nothing but very good numbers.
Great
before
numbers.
you ask for him to take a step back and take less shots.
And still put up great numbers with that lesser role. He was essentially like a fourth option in scoring because I think Mikal Bridges averaged more than him. Oh, no, he just averaged like 3 less than him. But still, I mean, most of Aiden's points are off the pick and roll, and most of them are, off of the board. So it's like, it's one of the weirder things of this offseason. All signs point to this Phoenix Suns team imploding. And especially with Jay Crowder asking to be traded after his role is now moved to an off the bench guy so Cameron Johnson can start. It's just, these are not good signs for a team that was just in the finals.
No, you can't rely on Chris Paul continuing his success at his age, at his position. Last year, he was healthy for like majority of the year. He had like the little wrist like issue like halfway through the season or whatever, but like they were able to maintain that same traction. But I mean, this does not look good for Phoenix. And with all of the trade rumors kind of falling flat on their face for KD to go there, like if I'm a Suns fan, I'm very nervous about like what this season looks like, because I can guarantee that the minute that Ayton is able to be traded, because he has up until like, I think he has to like play for the team until like December or January.
I think it's the end of December.
I think he'll be traded by the deadline. Like there's no reason for him to be there, given the fact that clearly Monty Williams doesn't give a shit if they haven't spoken since June.
Yeah. And this is
trade. They can take Vucevic. We'll take DeAndre Ayton. I'm all for it.
Yeah. Okay. And this whole offseason, that everything we just talked about, that the 10 to whatever minutes we just spent on that's all before we even talk about what happened with Robert Sarver.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say on that.
But the thing is, that adds just another light onto this franchise that does not need any more attention for bad shit. And yeah, the Robert Sarver stuff, it's all unfortunate. He's out of the league for a reason. We talked about it, I believe, in our Southeastern Division breakdown. You can go back to that episode, check it out. We said more about it then. But this franchise just looks to be in complete shambles right now. It's a bummer. They obviously were just in the finals, so it's like it just sucks to see a team go on this big of a landslide, but whatever. There's one happy note on the offseason. Dario Saric should be back, so that'll add some depth to the front court. He was a huge piece in that playoff run, and a lot of Phoenix fans actually thought that he doesn't go down, they beat the Bucks. So I don't know if that's true, but it's something to keep in mind. He was a big piece on that team, and he does actually provide some really important minutes for them off the bench. So
Yep.
yeah, so the only other change to their starting lineup, obviously, is Cameron Johnson in place of Jay Crowder. Cam can play on a high volume. He had 42% from three. I think he averaged 6 attempts a game. So
Yeah, I think he struggled a little bit, or he went at least like he was a little streaky in the postseason.
they all
Like,
were. They all struggled in the postseason.
Even Mikal Bridges struggled in the postseason.
Yeah.
But I mean, those are two very young guys that are playing important minutes on like what was a huge team. So like that is something that you like to see, at least in a position of looking at the future. But
Yeah, they're not totally
no,
long gone, but they still have some stuff, and they still have great pieces and great players, but it's just like it's foggy. I mean, their future is foggy as of right now.
yeah. I think their like priority number one needs to be like mend that relationship with DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah,
Because this team is significantly different without him there.
big time.
So
KZ, any thoughts?
No, not really, other than just reiterating how shocking it is that they went from a number 1 seed last year at the beginning of the playoffs, right? They had the best record in the West, to now us talking about how awful they are and how much needs to be redone. Like, how do you go from having the best record to,
they've self-imploded.
being over what,
Like
one
4
series, the second series, 1 or 2 playoff series?
It was the semifinals, so
Okay.
you're round 2, but it's basically been just a landslide for the last 4 months.
Crazy thought.
Yeah.
For MVP this year.
You finished Booker?
No, Luka.
Oh, Luka.
Oh, yes, sir.
We will talk about that in the next episode. That's going to be a fun one. That's going to be a really fun division to cover. I mean, even with all the shit that's going on in this franchise, I still think they're probably going to be a mid-40s win team. They're probably still going to win a ton of regular season games just because they play defense and play it at a high rate. So, we'll see. They'll be middle of the pack. They won't be obviously as good as they were last year. But who knows if Ayton goes, I mean, and CP3 doesn't stay healthy, we could be looking at like a 30-win team, Like, the bar is not as high as it once was. I don't even want to cover that. I think we can wrap it up here, go on to trivia, and end this puppy up.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. This week's trivia is name that player. I'm going to give you guys the team he was drafted for, and then in order the teams he played for. So the first guy was drafted by Orlando, then played for Milwaukee, then the Clippers, then Philly, then New Orleans, and then retired in Dallas. This should be a pretty easy one. So again, drafted by Orlando, moved to Milwaukee, then played for the Clippers, then played for Philly, then New Orleans, and then retired in Dallas.
The Dallas one throws me off because I want to say JJ Redick, but
You got it.
I didn't realize he played for Dallas.
Yep, he went to Dallas for like 5 games, I believe.
Huh.
All right, second player. This might be a little harder, but I still think you guys will probably get it. Was drafted in Houston, but finished out his first year in Philly. Then went to Minnesota, then back to Houston. Played in Portland, and then now plays for the Clippers.
I get that timeline again?
Yep. Drafted by Houston, went to Philly, Minnesota, went back to Houston, then to Portland, and now plays for the Clippers.
Robert Covington.
Yes, sir. 2 for 2. Oh, Zerch really stealing this one.
Sorry, Kyle.
I mean, you can have it. I don't know shit about that.
Alrighty, boys. Another hot app.
Yep. Always.
We finish it up here. We'll finish out our divisional breakdowns with our last Western Conference division. Till then, cheers.
Yeah. Here's
Go Bucks.